Might want to follow along when we come back from spring break. I don't know why it's so bad. When we come back from spring break, we'll probably review a day, then have a test.
I thought we'd have one more thing.
Said number 10. Number 10, have out your calculators because I don't have mine up here. On an SAT preparation course, or an SAT preparation course, claims to improve the test scores of students. The table shows the critical reading scores for 10 students in the first 2 times they took the SAT. Before taking the SAT for the second time, the students took the course to try to improve their critical reading SAT scores. Test the claim at a level of significance of 1%. Again, you guys probably want to use the calculators, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is that the way you want to do it?
Yeah.
Because I did it out longhand, so. On your calculators, what I need you to do, the first list, and make sure you're going across. All right, don't, usually when we're given a list, we can go here, 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 here. And this time it's got to be this is in one list, this is in another list. So put all the first test in list 1, the second test in list 2. Give you a minute or so to do that. Let me know when you got the 2 lists in.
I do.
Stat. Edit. Make sure you delete everything else in your list. Don't leave anything like down on the bottom or something. It's going to mess up your numbers. Riley's the listed stuff on your calculator basically the same.
Yeah.
It's like the others.
I think so.
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
How's Ben? Brian can't hear me because he's got something stuck in his ear that I'm going to take. Once you get those 2 lists in list 3, remember go to delete everything in list 3 and go to list 3 and you put in, go up to the title so it's highlighted and type in list 1 minus list 2. So you have to hit second, the number 1 minus second, number 2. Most of you get to that point? So you look confused. You all right? You sure? Are you lying to me just so I'll quit talking to you? All right. We ready?
Yeah.
Once you have that, now what we're going to do is go to What do we go to?
Test. T-test.
T-test. Yeah, we go to stat, test, and we want the, on my calculator, I think it's the very first one.
Z-test.
It's the
It's T-test.
T-test, is it first on your guys'?
Second.
Second? All right, my fault. Hit enter. And then we got to make sure that we put in, this time we're putting in data, right?
Yep.
So go to data, highlight it. What's it ask you? Like which list or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got like a, I don't know what it is.
Zero. It's just zero.
So mu's gotta be 0, then the list. So we want mu equal to 0. The list, we want whichever list, on mine it would be list 3. We want that in there. On, I don't know what list you put it in on yours. And frequency, we always want 1. Please make sure you check the frequency, because it changes for some reason all the time. I don't know why. And then the last part we can't do yet because we haven't done our HO and HA, which we should have done very first thing.
That's true.
Looking at this, it said, this is problem 10, right? An SAT preparation course claims to improve the test scores. So how should list 1 be related to list 2? If this is the first time you took the test and this is the second time, if we do that subtracting, what's going to happen there?
Fresh less than. List one's less than list two.
List 1 is less than list 2.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't list them that way. All right, it should be that way, right? But when we list them, we did the difference, mu d, and we just compared it to 0. If the claim is that your grade's going to get higher, what should be true when you subtract these two? What kind of number should you get?
Negative.
Should get a negative number. So is that going to go in our HA or our HO?
A.
So we want mu d less than 0. So their claim is that when we subtract these two, we should get some negative number. Does that make sense? And then what's that make our HO up here?
Greater than negative
Now we can, which one are we doing on the calculator then? Remember, you just look right here. So you, on your calculator, you put in that less than symbol. Highlight the less than symbol. Then I think you just hit calculate, right? What's the only thing it tells you that we want to know?
two.
T. What is T?
Negative 7.059.
706. Anybody else get that? Is that right? Negative 706. The rest of it we have to do out longhand. How about the chart? Draw this, left-tailed, right-tailed, or two-tailed? Left-tailed. Shade that. What was our alpha this time? 0.01. This time we need our degrees of freedom. 10 minus 1, which is 9. Grab your chart. I don't have my chart. Grab your chart. We're looking, remember this time we're looking at the T chart, was I think is like chart number 5 or something.
Yeah.
2.821. So is that what I put right here? 2.821. It's got to be the negative because you're on the left side, right?
Yeah.
Is everybody with us to that point? Now we check our T. Where does our T fall in there? In the rejection region. So what's that tell us? Reject the null. Part that all of you love so much. I think I'm gonna make this part work like triple points on the next test. With
I'll definitely do it.
1% level of significance. There is, somebody help me out on the chart.
Enough evidence to support the claim.
Enough evidence, everybody agree with him on that? Isn't Riley the one that said he had it memorized?
I do have it memorized.
Enough evidence to support the claim that what?
The, AC, or an SAT preparation course, which is test courses.
So that the prep course improves SAT score.
Yeah.
That's not the right course.
It's not, oh, is it ACT?
No, it's COU-RAC. Sorry, doesn't matter. Yes.
Pay attention.
Course. COA would have been like if something was rough.
It's rough, right?
Genius.
I don't know why you guys are laughing. I'm gonna remember that when I grade the next test.
No, I was gonna say, you don't think of.
Hey, that's all Riley. That's all Riley. It's, there's not gonna be any questions that have to do with SAT courses. He puts that exact question.
Other questions? Joe, did that help? He's asleep already. I think I can wake him up.
He used to sleep before the third bell.
Did that help? Other questions? 456. Again, when I do it out longhand, so I don't use the calculator. I don't think that's a pain in the butt to use the calculator, but
That looks like
yeah, this one was a pain in the butt because I kept screwing up. I don't know what I kept getting sidetracked, and every time I added these numbers, I tried to add them in my head first, got the wrong answer. Then I add them with my calculator again, punched in something wrong, got the wrong answer. So I got the wrong answer like 3 times and had to keep going back. And every single time I got the wrong answer, and instead of checking to make sure I got the right answer, I kept going, and then that screwed up everything from there on. No other questions? You guys can handle that. Notes from last time, if you picked up those notes from last time, you can get them out. We're going to go over them. And we're going to add some stuff to it. There's, which I didn't have when I printed off those notes for you. There's a way to do some of it on the calculator. I'm going to show you that. You guys get lucky this time because when I sent it to the copy machine, somehow I hit like 70 copies. You're all right. So when I sent it to the copy machine, I hit 70 something, I don't know why. I got down there and all the other teachers were mad at me because I was printing off this big long thing and running out of paper.
Did you sit there and staple them?
No, they stayed.
Aren't they like 24 pages each and prints how many copies?
70 is what it said. I got down there in time that I canceled it before it did all 70.
That'd be mad.
That's a lot of paper.
I was only trying to print one, but I was printing
How
off
did
like,
you get numbers?
I don't know, I was printing off geometry stuff also, and the only thing I can figure is that, but my geometry I print off 100 copies of everything, so I don't know how I hit 70. I don't know. I just know I got down there and other teachers weren't happy with me because they were standing there waiting on it, and I looked at it and I go, what in the world's it doing? Oh. So I stopped at about 40 copies and deleted it. So testing difference between proportions. Remember proportions, percents? So like 20%, 15%, so on, so on, so on. When you're doing this, your HO, again, it's been different. Just about every section in this chapter, well, it has been different every section. But the last section we were comparing the differences. That's the only one we were saying those compared to 0. Mu D compared to 0. The other sections we were comparing like P1, P2, mu 1, mu 2, so on and so on. Not mu 2. Ben. Not the Pokemon thing. Brendan was all over that one.
Yeah, Ben's a chump. He don't play Pokemon.
What number did you say you were, Phoenix?
What, baseball? 23.
I'm coming to the game and I'm gonna hold up a sign out in the outfield.
I'll say hi from the dugout.
Put in number 23, and I'm just gonna holler the whole game. Put in 23! God, this sucks! The whole time. You're gonna be embarrassed by the end of it. Then I'm gonna write 23 on my chest.
Can I get a picture of you after the game like that?
Think I won't.
I wouldn't mind.
I did it to one of my buddies. His kid played in a terrible baseball league. He was in a rec league. And it wasn't a good league. He played in it. I came out there. His name is Dane. And me and my son came out there. And I had a D and an N. And my son had an A and an E. And we stood out there. When we're doing this, always assume that the P1, P2 are the same thing. So when you subtract P1, remember P1 is the proportion of the, not the sample, but the population. Well, you're probably not going to know that. So when we get to this formula here in a minute, same idea. We're going to make that 0 and just assume that it's 0 all the time. 3 things got to happen. The sample must be randomly selected, so that's the same. The samples must be independent. That's the same as the first 2 sections in this chapter. Then this part. And I always forget to do it, but you got to be able to take N1 times P1. Well, we won't know what P1 is, and we won't know what P2 is. Again, on these, it's got to be greater than 5. Don't try to do all of them. All we're going to do is one of them. So you're going to pick the lowest number, whether it's P or Q, and the lowest number, N1 or N2, and multiply those together. And if it's greater than 5, then you can do it. Like most of the problems that we do, are we even going to have to worry about that? Is Ebersole going to throw a whole bunch of them on there where you can't do all the extra long work? No. Things that I would write down. Very important. P-bar. Since we don't know what P1 is, we don't know what P2 is for the actual population, we're going to use P-bar to estimate P1 and P2. So to find P-bar, you take X1 plus X2 divided by N1 plus N2. How many yeses there are in each of the 2 samples, and how many total there are in each of the 2 samples. And then this formula is the standard error. And I'm going to change that. That's just the S. Is that right? SD. last one, that was the different ones. So standard error. The calculator method. I can't remember what all the calculator method gives to you. When we get to that point, I'll tell you. I think I have it written on the PowerPoint when we get to that point. Seems like this one gives you quite a bit. Oh, why am I looking through this? I just told you guys it wasn't on there, and I'm looking through it to try to find it. So hopefully it gives you some of this. I don't think it gives you, and maybe it does, P-bar. I don't know, we'll find out.
And then it gives you P hat, two, P hat one, P hat two.
It doesn't give you P-bar. So when we do this, this is the formula to find Z. Again, the calculator I know is going to give you that. On this formula though, when you write down that formula, remember that this second part right here is going to be 0. Remember Q bar, just like P and Q, P hat or P bar, you find it doing that. Q bar, you find just whatever answer you get there, you subtract from 1. That I know we have to know. I'm pretty sure you have to be able to do that in your head, which usually that's not too hard. It's just 1 minus like 0.30 or whatever, and you find it. And then every time you're supposed to check these. Now, again, most of the time it's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be greater than 5, otherwise I wouldn't have put the problem on there.
You should just like make all of them 5.
Make all of them less than 5 so that you don't have to.
5. Just all
Oh,
of
exactly 5,
Yeah.
just to confuse everybody.
Yeah. Plus then I would know that answer is 5, and that's an extra point.
Things we're going to do, the steps, same steps as all the others. Previous. Using table 4, which one's table 4? The one on the front we're probably going to use instead of table 4, we're probably actually going to use the small chart. Most everything we do is 1%, 5%, or 10%. I'm pretty sure everything on this assignment was one of those 3, so you just use that little chart bottom right that I gave you. Again, when we're finding this P-bar, what P-bar is, it's an estimate, and it's called a weighted estimate for the population, since we don't know the actual population proportion. If we knew that, we wouldn't have to do any of this stuff. We'd know exactly what it is, and there wouldn't be anything to do. Since we don't know that, P hat, this is a weighted estimate for the population for just P1 and P2. Not P hat, but just P1 and P2. Same idea on all this, so you state your HOHA, figure out what alpha is, draw your little picture from the chart, so on and so on. Find the Z. I believe the calculator gives you the Z, so you don't have to use that big long formula, but again, it's not really all that hard. That part's 0. If you look when I did the assignment, I worked them all out, because it's not, this formula is fairly easy to stick into the calculator. Even though it looks real difficult. You just gotta find this. If you plug it into the calculator, you find that, write it down, or have it, it's right there on your calculator, you don't really need to write it down. And then what I do is, I type it in 1 divided by whatever that number is, let's say it's 20. 1 divided by 20 plus 1 divided by 32, or whatever that number is, hit equals, then times Q hat, hit equals, or Q bar, then times P bar, hit equals. Then I got that number on my calculator, and I hit second square root, that, then I type this number back into my calculator, and I hit this number right here. The final answer on the bottom is still on my calculator, and I just type it in, this divided by whatever that is. You keep everything right there on your calculator. It's not hard to just push the buttons and type it in. Decide whether to reject or fail to reject, same thing. Interpret, we're not going back over that again. 3 parts to your interpretation, been the same for the last 2 chapters. These are the steps on the calculator. Oh no, these are the other steps, my fault, that's not steps on the calculator. We'll come back and maybe do one of these, might just do one off the assignment instead of one of these on the notes here. So you can see it, getting through all this stuff. Interpretation, there it is. Doing it on the calculator, I'll give you a second to write this down. This bottom one just tells you what the calculator tells you, not what you actually have to do on the calculator. It's just telling you, hey, the calculator tells you all this stuff once you do all this. Boy, it sucked. I took that today and slipped out here for a while.
We have a spam call. I won't give him, my project's dead working, it's going away.
First thing, before you do any of this in the calculator, you got a lot of times you'll have to find x1 and x2. And to find x1 and x2, you just take n1 times the p hat, and that'll give you x1. And I didn't write the other one up there, but you take n2 times p hat, and that'll give you the x2. On the calculator, you go stat, test, 2 prop z test, and you put in x1, n1, x2, n2, tell what the HA is, whether it's less than, greater than, or not equal to, then hit calculate. Once you do all that, it'll tell you what your Z is. That's what we're looking at, see if it falls in the rejection region or not. It'll tell you what P hat 1 is and P hat 2. It'll tell you what those two are. And it'll tell you P hat. P hat is actually your P bar. So what they tell you is P hat is actually the P bar. That's the weighted proportion for the population. Want to try one of the problems off the homework, or do we want to do one of the examples that I have? Homework? 12? So get your books out. Whatever page that's on. So if I have this, so I can go on. Find me a a blank screen here. It'll take me a second. Probably about the time you guys get everything where you need to be, I'll be there. This is if you're doing it out longhand. No. Which one did you guys say? In a survey of 433 females, so I don't have to do this. When I start these problems, somebody else help me out and read it. I know N1 is going to be 433. I'm just going to put an F up here, stand for female, so I know that. So I need N1, I need X1, and I need P hat 1. Then I'm going to have N2, X2, and P hat 2. I need all 6 of those things before I can start plugging in my calculator or anything. Well, actually not all 6, but probably all 6. They tell us 433 females. What else did they tell us about the females?
72%.
So 0.72 is our P hat. Reading the rest of the problem, what else did they tell us?
577 males.
577.
Yeah. And
65.
65, yeah.
0.65. Now, they didn't tell us X1 or X2. Before we can stick anything in the calculator, we have to find those. And all you do to find them, grab your calculator, and you take the 433 times the 0.72.
311.76.
Now, these are people, so
311 or 312.
312.
Okay.
We'll round it up. So about 312 females said yes, or whatever it is that we're dealing with. Same thing over here. You take 577 times 0.65. How many males said yes?
375.
375. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Once we have these 6 numbers, then we can punch stuff into our calculator, but we still got to do all this other stuff, HO and HA. Somebody read the rest of the problem for me so that we can decide what we're doing here. Nobody likes to read. So somebody just tell me, what's our HO and HA?
P1 is equal to P2 is a claim. That's the HO.
P1 equals P2, and that's your claim. Everybody agree with Sean on that one? Then what's our HA?
P1 not equal.
Left-tailed, right-tailed, or two-tailed?
2.
Shade that, shade that. We're doing Z-scores, so we're using the front chart.
I don't remember my front sheet. Mine's like.
Well, it has the same chart in the middle of it.
I don't know if it's in my notebook somewhere.
This chart, you can find it here.
I think that you might keep both because that might be one that doesn't have everything in there or something. What's it come out to be? What's our critical values here?
Negative 2.575, 2.575.
Everybody agree with Sean on that? Alpha was what?
1%.
1%. So 1% two-tailed. Yeah, and it's 2.575. Now to find our Z, now we can go to the calculator. So on your calculator, go to Stat, Test, 2, Crop, Z-Test, I think, right?
Yeah.
2 Crop Z-Test, and you type in, I think we need the N's and the X's, don't we? Isn't that what they ask us for?
Yep.
And then they also ask us the tail, this time where the two tail or the not equal to. Does that ask you anything else?
Well, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
So what does Z come out to be?
2.38.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Look at that. What's that tell us? Fail to reject, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Fail to reject the null. Interpret it with 1% level of significance. There is,
Why did you go I and normal and then go back significant?
just to make you ask questions. It worked, didn't it? I'm a genius. I'll do it again next time. What else? What's after there is?
There is not enough evidence to reject the claim.
Now you guys are gonna have to read the problem. Not enough evidence
To reject the claim.
to reject. There you go, Sean. Claim.
Females and males spend the same life, not one might not equal.
Save money on what?
Eating out.
I sure hope not, because if Elizabeth eats the same amount that Joe over here eats when he eats out, then I'm sorry, Elizabeth, but at some point, you're gonna look like Ebersole here in a couple of years. What are you laughing about, Sean?
What?
I know what he gets from Walker's. I run out his food all the time.
75 sandwiches and.
Mr. 2-liter talking up there.
You see me, what was I just drinking? I was drinking Arnold
Sweet
Palmer tea.
It's
No,
not
it's not.
any better.
Yeah, it is.
There's sugar in it.
No, it's diet.
The big sugar in it.
No, the Arnold Palmer is the light, it's the diet stuff.
That sounds good.
You gotta get you some water.
I got water back there too, I just finished my water a little while ago, so I didn't have the water open.
Arnold Palmer is my favorite.
I like that.
Everybody understand that? When we come back, you're gonna be able to do all four of these different things?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
In
Are we getting
the worst way possible.
I thought we were gonna get another one.
Maybe after the town, but you can actually explain.
Nah.
What's our next, would it be the Wednesday we come back?
No, it'll be Thursday. Thursday probably be the test
But Wednesday will be the,
review.
Oh, wait,
Going back
we don't
Tuesday
have
will be
school,
the-
we get back.
Oh, we don't have school Monday?
No, we have the
I
10th.
never do that.
We have the 10th
I've done
off.
it.
The 10th is
That's Monday?
Yeah, we get
We're
Monday
back on the
off.
11th.
Oh, Saturday.
That's
So
right.
we'll have it due on.
So it'll be
Wednesday.
Friday, Wednesday and Friday.
Okay, well, I won't be here on Wednesday. For review, so.
Have to watch my video. Didn't we have this argument about you grabbing stuff off my desk the other day?
I'm just hitting myself.
Pretty sure you're shooting staples.
He's trying to shoot
I'm not
staples.
shooting staples at anybody.
You're-
I'm getting, this is
That is
this
not true,
so
you
wrong.
do shoot
This
staples,
is so
because when
wrong.
Michael sits up here, that's exactly what you do.
This is so wrong.
I'm not saying that you're shooting staples, but if I come back here and find my staples laying all over the place, then I'm gonna be
What staple
upset
back here?
that you're wasting my staples.
Threw away the other one.
Put my stapler back. It's that simple.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just outed yourself.
No, I didn't even shoot.